What is going on, everyone? If you guys are new here, my name is Peter Debuslo, and I like to keep this channel consistent. Every Saturday we have a brand new video. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about a brand new lens that just came out for the Nikon Z series lineup. We're going to be talking about the 35 1.4. This thing is small, it is awesome. Now, I am coming from the Sony FX3 lineup, and I was using the Sigma 35 1.2. So comparing this to the 35 1.2, this is like a game changer for the size, the weight, the price. Now, I think this goes for around 800 bucks Canadian, I believe. I actually picked this up the day it came out. The one lens that I had on that camera was a 35 1.2. And I absolutely just love the focal length of the 35 mil. So I was kind of just glued to always shooting 35 and just repositioning myself. And I shot like 20 weddings with the Sigma 35 1.4 a few years back, and that led me to picking up the 1.2 for my FX3. But we no longer are shooting on the Sony FX3 setup. We are on Nikon. We are shooting on the Nikon Z now. It's my A cam. It's been my A cam for the last 3 months. I absolutely love this camera. And then when I found out that they were coming out with a 35 1.4, I went to the local Nikon camera store, which is Bell Art, if you are located in the Hamilton area. And if you are located in the Hamilton area, I would highly suggest you going to Bell Art and picking up your Nikon gear from them. That was about to pre-order this lens, and they said they have one in stock. So I was just like, perfect. You know what? This is meant to be. Ever since I picked up the 35 1.4, I absolutely love this lens. It's small, way smaller than the 35 1.2 from Sigma. It's light. The build quality, it just feels a little bit on the plasticky side, but it's super small, lightweight. So the build quality doesn't really bother me, just because it actually keeps the whole setup lighter than what my previous setup was on the FX3 with the 35 1.2. So there are some benefits with shooting this 35 1.4 on the Z8 than when I was using the FX3 and the 35 1.2. The 1.2 was just a beast of a lens. There's so many more benefits to using smaller lenses when you're shooting long days as to using bigger lenses, even with a shallow depth of field. I mean, going from a 1.2 to a 1.4, I can care less. It's more of the weight management and how long I'm going to be using the setup for. But other than that, I wanted to do a deep dive on using this 35 1.4 and showing you the latest boxing film, which I'm going to put a link over here if you guys are interested in watching. We're going to look and see on how this lens performed, especially for low light. I just feel like shooting low light stuff with lenses is probably the best to see on how the autofocus performs, just because we're going to see on how it grabs the face detection, the eye detection, and all that stuff. Now, if there is some autofocus hunting, that could lead to user error, that can lead to autofocus settings in my camera that I just didn't set up properly. But we're going to do a deep dive, and we're going to take a look on how this lens performed in shooting this boxing film that I posted a couple weeks back. We're going to look into this film, and then we're going to come back, and we're just going to give like my overall thoughts on how this lens performed. Okay, so this is going to be all of the raw footage that I shot with the Nikon Z8 in 4.1K RAW. As you can see, we got the Nikon RAW here. And we're just going to go through some of this footage and see on how this 35 1.4 performed. Some scenes were lit better than others. Some were kind of low lit scenes. And in this case, I'm not going to add like a film LUT to the final image. I'm just going to add like a basic Rec 709. And I just kind of found out that if you had a red Komodo, you can actually add the red Komodo LUTs, and they actually look pretty clean in my opinion. Like even that right there. So this is going to be a Rec 709. So we're just going to be going with just like a basic Rec 709 look for all these shots, just so you guys can get, you know, a glimpse of how this 35 1.4 performed. Now I'm going to mute my audio just so we don't have feedback. And I'm going to go through some clips, not the entire thing, because we have a lot of clips here. Just some cool stuff. And we're just going to see on how this lens performed in real time. I might even slow some of the stuff down so you can actually see the face tracking in what this lens can do. So this is one of the very first shots. This is with the red Komodo Rec 709 LUT applied. It actually looks pretty good in my opinion. So we can see the tracking's pretty good. I'll go in full screen here. A little out of focus there. So not bad. I would say it's basically like 9 out of 10 on the focus tracking, even though like he's punching, his gloves are going in front of him. So we do have some blocking on the face. We do have some fast hand movement. Looks pretty good there. I would say a good 9 out of 10. This lens performed. That's basically like the same stuff. Now we do have some slow motion stuff here. I'm just gonna go find. We're gonna go to file. I'm just gonna see which stuff is slow mo. So this one here is actually slow mo. So it's gonna slow this down to 40. We're gonna ripple the timeline just so we can expand that, and then add our Rec 709. Let's go to something clean like that. And we're going to see how this looks here in slow-mo. Just going to go fast forward a little bit. Go full screen. I think it performs pretty good. Out of focus there for a second. We have gloves going in front of the face, so out of focus there. I might have had my focus tracking on somewhat slow instead of fast, but like I said in the beginning of this video, I'm fairly new to the whole focus, autofocus, speed, and all the settings you can choose. So I'm just trying to get myself familiar with this lens, to be honest. Even the camera itself too, and I know this is going to be a slow motion shot too, with the water dripping down. So we're going to slow mo this. And then we're going to ripple. We're going to add that Rec 709 to this. And we're just going to see how this part here performs. Out of focus there, as you can see. Looks like it's tracking pretty good. It's kind of dark on the eyes, even though it's doing okay, a little blurry. It's doing not bad in my opinion. They're caught a little bit better right there. I'm walking in and out basically, so the tracking, seems like it's doing an okay job. I would give that like maybe a 7.5 out of 10. I guess I'll just rate these things because that's the way it seems like it's going. Now we'll go into some of the lower lit scenarios and see how this performs. I'm just going to add this Rec 709 to all of these, and we're going to see how this looks. So he's moving here. The face tracking seems like it's doing a decent job here. It doesn't look like it's hunting or anything. We have my main light up here on the top left, right here. So I'm moving in and out. Here, actually, I'm going to play back this in half quality so we have no lag. A lot of movement here. We got the light up there. So we have some out of focus and then focus there. So a little fast movement. I feel like if I had my focus tracking setting onto a faster setting, probably be a little bit better. I don't know why my computer's a little laggy, but whatever. I think the best, let's just change my white balance here because this looks like a little too orange. So I'm moving in and out. It does a good job. I would say decent. I mean, I don't want it to be tack on too sharp because then it just looks somewhat fake. As you can tell, it just tracked onto the plate there. He's bending down. Now the face tracking setting that I had on here was, I think it was the wide L with the bigger square in the middle. Looks like it's going out of focus a little too much. Like I said, this is pretty low light, so there's one light there that's basically lighting the entire scene. Now if we were to go into the log, it doesn't look that low light, but it's a darker lit scenario. Now here's where I feel like the tracking kind of lacked a little bit. Backlighting, he's a little bit of a darker subject. Blurry there, still blurry. Doesn't know really what to grab. Now this looks like it's doing a little bit better. And his face is pretty much dark, and you can barely even see his face because he's wearing the hoodie on. Yeah, so it looks, yeah, there it goes out of focus there. Now it goes really out of focus, so it seems like it's having a harder time. I feel like this is like the most darker scenario, especially being backlit. But I'm not too sure if any lens would have a problem focusing in this situation, because this is somewhat of a harder situation for any lens to focus. He's wearing all black, and it's kind of hard to find his face. So we have the lens basically just hunting almost the entire time in this shot here. Let's fast forward. With this LUT, you can actually see somewhat more of the grain in the blacks. With the film profile that I was using, don't really see. I mean, obviously this LUT isn't meant for. This is like, you can just tell like the highlights are blown out. You can't even fix that. Obviously you can tell like it's not. I mean, it does an okay for converting to Rec 709s. You get the glimpse of what's happening. This is a most darker situation. You can see the lens going in and out. I'll play that back. I don't think there's even a time here where the lens, okay, they're focused there. It keeps hunting. Seems like it's hunting all the time. Hunting. So it didn't do a good job there. This is, I would say this is almost like backlit as well, because we have more light here in the back and he's a darker subject. So the lens didn't do a good job there. Looks like we got some stuff going on with the sensor here. I think I was at a super high ISO. And now if I actually add my power grade to this, the one that I used in the actual video if you guys watched, it's one of these power grades here, and this is using Film Dehancer. We're going to clear this. Let's see which one I used. It was one of these. Looks a little too warm in my opinion. So now this LUT here, I believe has some film grain added to it, so we'll get rid of that because it's slowing the computer down. You can still see the lines. I don't think I was at the dual native ISO. I'm not 100% sure. If we add some softening to the image, might get rid of it. Looks like it got rid of it there, kind of. Not really. Okay, so that image I don't really like. Just it looks like something's going on with the sensor or something. This is a good looking shot here. That's just a basic Rec 709. Now if we add the film profile that I did, bring that up, temperature. Let's get rid of the film grain just so we have a smooth playback. I mean, I don't see why a lens wouldn't be able to focus this because there's not much movement and he's staying still. So if we go back, let's just add, let's go to reset. Let's just add a basic Rec 709. Change the white balance a bit. Obviously, it's doing good there. There's one shot of him moving. Okay, this is a good shot because I'm moving a lot here. Let's see how this performed. Looks a little bit more natural. If you have something that's constant, it just looks like, you know, too perfect in my opinion. But as you can see, there's a lot of movement here. It looks like it's doing decent capturing the face. You can see the behind the scenes photographer, Aaron, here. But yeah, let's see if there's another. There was another one. Actually, I really love this shot here. Go there. Just trying to see if we can find any CA in the image. We can see some over here in the bokeh. There is some, obviously, some CA popping in the image, but I mean, does it bug me? No. No, I don't care for it to have a perfect lens, so I mean, far under $1,000. This lens is doing a damn good job, in my opinion. Fast movement there. It looks like the face is doing good. So I you know what? I guess it all depends on how dark the image is and your camera settings. Even though I didn't change my camera settings, it looks like it's even doing better here. But I would say overall, like, you know, this lens did a pretty good job. I liked on how it performed for this shoot, and it just made my life a little easier shooting with the lens that did autofocus, because I didn't have to get someone to do focus pulling, which I wouldn't even want to get for this type of video, because this was just testing out some new equipment and I just wanted to make something cool. That's basically the whole idea of this video, and I wanted to try out that 35 1.4. So yeah, I feel like this lens performed pretty good despite the low light capability from the Nikon Z8 has. Now, not a lot of people think that the Nikon Z8 is meant for low light, and I'm going to tell you right now, the low light on this camera is amazing. I shot some stuff in like 12,000 ISO, and it's super clean in the Nikon RAW 4.1K. Now, a trick is when you downscale from the 8K to the 4.1K, you're actually down sampling and you're getting a way better and cleaner image, especially when you are in the 4.1K RAW shooting analog. So I would highly recommend you trying that out if you do have a Nikon Z8. If you are in the market for picking up a 35mm and you do have a Nikon Z series body, I would recommend picking up the 35 1.4. I was using the Sigma 35 1.2 E mount and some sort of adapter on my Nikon camera. The autofocus was super snappy. It wasn't smooth as it would be for a native mount lens like I'm using right now. I am shooting on the Nikon Z8 with the 35 1.4. We're using a K&F matte box. I am using 2 ND filters in front of the lens right now just because of how much light that this lens is able to bring into the sensor on my camera. This is not a paid video whatsoever. This is just me talking about good equipment that works, and equipment that I would recommend for filmmakers that are using the Nikon Z8, and if you are looking for a good, fast, cheap lens. Now, this lens does cost around $800, I believe, so under $1,000. At a 1.4, I mean, it's great for the price. I wouldn't be using any other lens with an adapter like I previously said with the Sigma 35 1.2. I figured that, you know, there are some drawbacks of using dummy adapters or adapters in general. I would recommend just going straight native mount, and you will 100% see the difference in using native mount lenses. So that's it for this video. If you guys are interested in taking a look at the boxing film, if you haven't, I'll put a link in the description below. If you guys want to pick up the 35 1.4 and you guys are located in the Hamilton area, I would recommend taking a look at the Bell Art camera store. All right, out of all places, you have to go right in the middle. we will see you guys on the next video. Peace.